I hope the former. Anyway, what I'm going to talk about today is what I talk about most time when I do my videos and go live, and it's generally stuff that interests me, but it seems to often come back to the subject of politics. And there's a lot to talk about in that arena at the moment. And today, in particular, I wanted to just express some things that have been cropping up in my thoughts where it comes to this flotilla. And in a way, it's not just the flotilla. You can link it to what's going to be my second subject, which is Donald Trump, and because he's a guy, a dude, a very powerful person, president of the United States, who has a lot of sway, holds a lot of sway over, well, things that affect all of us on a day-to-day basis. Definitely when it comes to US matters, world global matters, and even though we're this far across the Atlantic, what affects us at home here in Great Britain. My third subject is going to be something that crosses both shores, and that is this idea or the impression that I'm seeing Americans, well, this is what I see in the media, at least, that Americans seem to be a picture they seem to be building up of us Brits over here, living in fear, in chaos, in a lawless land, being controlled and everything being run by a an alien religion that's not, you know, of these shores, and something along those lines. But that's going to be the third topic. I'm going to touch a bit briefly on what edicts Donald Trump has been issuing of late, and particularly today. But I'll start off by talking about what's going on the shores. So obviously, you know about what's been going on in the Hormuz Strait, because that's affected all of us economically. Oil, fertilizer, food, and the poorer countries probably having a greater impact, but we're being touched here too. So what I want to do is, if I can just spin over for a moment, I want to have a look at this story. And I hope I'm not jumping around too much for you to kind of keep with the general theme. And it's the flotilla. The flotilla. This is I don't know how many they've had, but they've had quite a few. But this one has been, like, I think they've received the harshest treatment on this particular trip through what they describe as international waters. And well, the activists, when they get apprehended, they frame it as a kidnapping. I guess you could kind of like look at it in that way if they're in international waters and they are taken somewhere against their will and kept captive for a period of time. Others would describe it as sovereign country in international waters, preventing these activists from reaching their destination, so it doesn't affect it's supposed to be a ceasefire now on the Palestinian Israeli front, although it doesn't seem like a full-on ceasefire. So every time they have a flotilla and they try to reach the shores of Gaza with food supplies and other useful um, cargo, they've been prevented. And this time there was quite a few of them, quite a big, quite a lot of boats, a lot of activists from all over the globe, maybe largely European. I think at least over 20, 30 countries were where the people came from. So anyway, I just want to just see what France 24 has to say, because they have a very interesting guest on, and I think he may have, well just to see what he has to say. And I also have to apologize unless you kind of like what you hear in the background. YouTube doesn't object to it, because the music isn't coming from me directly. There's a lot of stuff going on here in Beckenham Park, and I have no control over the background music. So let's get to it with this video. Give me a moment. Bear with me. We are live. So we can speak to our guest. France 24. I'll just shuffle over a bit over here, and I hope you can kind of see. If you can't, then just bear with me, and you'll have to work with the audio.
So let's dive straight into it. Let's start with the moment of the raid. Could you take us back?
Okay, that's going to be a bit tricky because of the light and the reflection and everything. So if you can just bear with me and catch some of the audio.
And it has nothing to do. We can clearly see an escalation of violence. This was not just a raid. They just kidnapped us, put us in a prison where they tortured us really badly. And I was really...
So as I thought, the guy speaking now, he's actually an activist. And, you know, most of them, if not all of them, arrived in Turkey yesterday or the day before. So now they're getting to speak up about their treatment. There was that clip that the minister for I think he's the minister of security. He kind of, well, I don't think he thinks he embarrassed himself, but he embarrassed his fellow countrymen in terms of how they responded to that video of him walking, looking at the activists, preaching to them, and all in all, them being kind of mistreated. So I thought it's a bit disappointing that these supposedly strong nations, European nations that some of these activists come from, well, kind of, it's like they stood back and allowed their citizens to be treated that way. Although there's reasons and reasons for these type of things. So let's see what he has to say.
Right, because there was no control on the violence. We had to go through, when we went put in the prison boat, we had to go through a container where there was...
We haven't got enough shade. Oh yeah, you might be able to see some of it. If not, I'll find a nice scene for you to look at while you're listening.
Based on our passport, based on how we look, and based on all the racism they are expressing. Some are
see if I can do it a different way.
Beating down, some were like shot with different weapons, some were like tased with this electrical taser, and others were even like injected with syringe. And of course, also sexual violence. It was really, really difficult because we had to go one by one into this to go to the open air prison. And when we arrived to the open air prison, we were hearing our other cameras getting beaten one by one. And when you arrive to the open air prison, you can just
too much
see that
sunlight and all the rest. So yes, let's just work with the audio, and you're gonna catch the gist of what he's saying. It's the clips would have helped as well emphasize what he says he experienced, and I think a lot of you would have seen the video on X that the minister posted. This guy talking now, his name's Adrian Berthel, activist at Global Summons France. So you had citizens from all over Europe, and well, their leaders from their nations just didn't seem to want to push back on how they were treated. I think it was it's definitely not how to treat, well, captives, activists, whatever they want to be described as. I don't think they did enough to be worthy of that kind of a treatment. Just common decency. So it says Israel officials deny accusations by flotilla activists. Activists allege Israel's sexual assault. Now that's a terrible one, because that's been coming forward as well in the media a lot about what's been happening in the jails and happening in interrogations, and to some of the Palestinians who have, some of them not even been charged yet. Now, these flotilla people have said from what they experienced coming back with damaged ribs and bruised and battered, they can't even imagine what the others are going through, who've been apprehended and held for months and years, some of them. So yes, get with it again.
Else, and we had to sleep on the floor, on wet floors.
Imagine that.
We had just one t-shirt.
One t-shirt, having to sleep on the floor.
And stuff. And some people had broken ribs and had to sleep on the floor. There was no control about the situation. Every soldier could do whatever he wanted. There was no control of Israel. It could have escalated really, really fast. We even asked, one guy was really badly hurt, and we asked for him to be isolated, and he had no medical visits. Israel were not even planning on scaring if there was an escalation. It was really, really horrifying. We were all in hypervigilance and just trying to care for each other the best we could.
Listen, that sounds damn scary to me.
Israeli prison authorities actually denied any kind of physical or sexual abuse. They said that
Yep.
the treatment was in line with their regulations. How do you
Right, who have we got here?
denials?
I'll just pause that for a moment, see who we got in the chat. Hello, Brian, 797. You indoors or outdoors today? Our summer has begun. If you're familiar with the UK's climate, we get it when we get it, and we get the most out of it while we can, because it can be here today, gone tomorrow. So today's one of those days that feel like and look like a real summer day with a nice breeze too. But we also have Jungle Body with Tasha. Said hi. Yo, 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 hello there. Brian, I ain't got a clue what's for dinner, but I tell you what, if you was to take a walk up the hill there, can you kind of see what I'm around a bit more? You probably won't see it because it's far in the distance. There's like a truck. There's a Caribbean food truck, and they do Caribbean food and jerk, chicken jerk, pork jerk, other things too. So yeah, I might end up dining out Caribbean style today. But not to get too far off track, let's get back with the story of the flotilla. Oh, before we get into that, let me know if you can hear my audio okay. Just want to check that my audio's can all be heard, etc.
These allegations of physical abuse.
I didn't know that, and it's making laugh now because it's, of course, I mean, the thing, as I said, all the violence was not documented. So we all only can relate with our stories. And what we experience is nothing compared to what the Palestinians experienced, and their violence is also.
This is what I've been hearing from a lot of the activists. The way they were treated, they're saying, I'll just pause that up for a second. They're saying if they were treated. So I'm hoping that the last 20 plus minutes, I haven't just been moving my mouth and nobody's been able to hear me. So let me know if you can hear me. Just tap any kind of numeric symbol in the chat so I know that I'm audible. In the meantime, let's tune back into LBC.
The concern is that Donald Trump, this is one action of several over the last few days, that could
If I
see the
get the right
Republicans
shade, you could
lose
see the
control of
screen
Congress in the midterm
without the
elections in
glare.
November. Now, apparently, Donald Trump's son, Donald Trump Jr., is getting married this weekend, but his father's not going. I mean, it gets stranger and stranger with Mr. Trump, doesn't it? He is not going. Don Jr. is, in fact, now remarried. They married yesterday, he and a Florida socialite, Bettina Anderson, in a small ceremony. But there's a big party in the Bahamas this weekend.
Sounds like fun.
And there was surprise here over the last few days. First of all, when the president said that he wasn't going to be attending the wedding, he argued that he was very busy, lots of stuff going on, important business of government. He cited Iran.
So I saw that, yeah. Oh, they're going to show you the clip, and I thought that was quite funny. It made me think about it is Trump. What I think helped to bring him to where he is now is the realness, and that's what I think a lot of people was not the hardcore supporters. They were always behind him, but your sort of middle of the road people on the fringes. It's that realness, and some of that, despite all of this, tension, toxicness, and other things going on, that realness still surfaces from time to time. And when they asked him about going to his son's wedding, and he says, "Well, I'm kind of busy at the moment. You don't forget, I've got this thing to deal with called Iran." Like he's like, "I'm busy at work. I might show up, but I'm not sure." And it just made me think the millions of people must go through that. They got a relative getting married, and it's like, yeah, or could even be their kid or sibling, and they're like, "Yeah, it's not the first marriage, and yeah, I don't know if I'm really gonna show up." It sounds a little cold and hardcore, but yeah, that I do that kind of leveled things a bit with my feelings about Grandmaster Trump. So check this out if you can see it.
He'd like me to go, but it's going to be just a small little private affair, and I'm going to try and make it. I'm in the midst. I said, this is not good timing for me. I have a thing called Iran and other things.
Ah, there you go.
That's one I can't win on. If I do attend, I get killed. If I don't attend, I get killed.
Yeah.
The fake news, of course, I'm talking about.
I know where you're coming from,
He's
President Trump.
got a very a person who I've known for a long time, and hopefully they're going to have a great marriage. Then yesterday, more mystery when the president abruptly cancelled a plan to spend the weekend at his golf club in New Jersey, saying that he needed to be here in Washington, D.C. All sorts of rumors. Is he thinking
He is under pressure. Now, he's somebody I think deals with pressure well, thrives on pressure. Sorry, again, folks, it's been one of them days for a lot of cutting into. I'm on one thing and then something cuts into that and I have to swerve onto another thing. Well, it's the weekend. So, you sometimes have scheduled things and other things just show up. And it's been one of them, but it doesn't stop us from doing what we're doing here and having a look-see. Weekend golf club in New Jersey, saying that seeing what Trump is up to and the rest of the world. Is he thinking of returning to the military assault in Iran? Is he perhaps thinking of doing something down to try and topple the government in Cuba? Might we see something? Okay, so you can see some of the screen. Here we go. And waiting to see why he's decided not only to avoid the wedding, to swerve the wedding, but also to swerve a weekend that more normally he would have spent playing golf. I think you have to divide the answer into two different areas. There is what does the average American think about it, and what does the. And you know what? On that note, I'm going to swerve myself onto another subject. And what that subject is concerning something I mentioned in the beginning, and that's what Americans think of us over here, us Brits over here in the UK, and what they think is happening in the UK, and also what they think is happening here in London. I mean, from what I'd be led to believe, if I watch some of these US side, stateside debates, I'd think we're like at home twitching our curtains, living in fear. We, looking over our shoulders like meerkats when we go out. If we dare to do that, there's people mugging and robbing and sword fights going on left, right, and center. Obviously, I'm sort of like exaggerating a bit, but that's the kind of thing I'm hearing, that London has been overrun by Muslims, or the mayor, who's been elected twice, I have which can't be any easy thing to achieve, just like Donald Trump getting into the White House twice. That's a challenge. So for Londoners, and remember, minorities are a minority, to re-elect him, I don't get this London's overrun by non-British people, or people are in such big numbers failing to assimilate, that a large number of British people believe they're losing their country and they want it back. I mean, when I say they, I'm referring to myself as well, because we're all part of the same ecosystem over here. And on Piers Morgan's show, he was debating with, actually, I'll see if I can find this one, because it was a good debate. Let me go and see if I can find good old Piers Morgan. He was debating with a fairly known American chat show host, and he happened to be in the UK. It was, here we go. It was Tim Dillon. That's it. It was very good show that was. So they're talking about a lot of things I've just been going over, we've been discussing. And Tim Dillon, he's been hearing what I've been hearing about, how we're struggling over here in the UK, but he couldn't see it. He said he arrived last weekend when the two marches was going on, the pro-Palestine march and the, I can't remember what they call it, the Tommy Robinson um march was going on, the Patriots March. And you know, I was saying to somebody that, look, we live in a country that we're able to at least do that if we choose to do that. Two opposing sides and groups to do their thing on the same space. So anyway, before we wrap up, or as we get to the latter part of this fairly brief Saturday live out in the park, first few days of British summer, we'll feeling of the warm weather and what's not, because we don't get that all the time over here. Let's see what Tim Dillon and good old Pierce had to say.
We're not in it. Are we in it? No, you're not. We're not in. We're not in it.
Oh, they're talking about the Eurovision. Not too interested in that.
A lot of what this has done over the last few
The
years.
bit I'm interested in.
Well, from one place to
Here we
another.
go. This is where it gets tasty.
Talks about it in an eloquent way, but it is the biggest issue of our time. How to assimilate people into an existing economic, political, cultural
Now
sphere.
that I understand and I agree with, it does present a certain amount of challenges.
And drive a lot of people crazy. It's a big issue in the UK. Farage is about to potentially win with this issue, right? So he
That I don't agree with. I don't think he's about to win. And that's the funny thing. It's the same thing I was saying earlier about how Americans see us over here. It's like we're getting two completely different narratives. It's like we're watching a James Bond movie and you're seeing him as the villain and we're seeing him as the, the regular old traditional James Bond. The narratives are that different, you know. I always explain it to people like this when I have this discussion and debate. From how we see the US in general, I say, and now correct me, and I'm going to be a bit out here and there on this one, but just in general, I say, you go back far enough into the day, the US, culturally, it was kind of based on a. Now I'm talking about when it comes to like being armed and defending yourself, and the right to defend your castle and all of that. The US was based on a more like Wild West gunfight at the OK Corral, you know, bullets and gunpowder kind of culture. We here, you go back far enough, it was more knives and swords, and obviously, you had Guy Fawkes, the gunpowder issue underneath Parliament, then many moons back. Generally, over here, we don't. The police aren't armed. It's not that easy, straightforward to get a licensed weapon. You're not definitely going to be filling out a form and then carrying that. What do they say? Right to carry without disclosing it or whatever, revealing it. We don't have laws like that over here. So the gun thing, guns are here, they're around, but in general, your everyday person doesn't have an ease of access. In America, it's written into your constitution. What we do have, though, in comparison, is we have that knife kind of easily accessed weapon, and I relate that back to the cultural thing, the foundation culturally of combat or warfare or whatever. This country or self-defense, it was like other parts of Europe, it was swords being used, sword fighting, you had your long blade, your short blade, and blah blah blah. So it didn't evolve to guns like America did, and obviously there's a lot of you know early that same period of British people who went over to America to create what you have now. So they might have took something with them, but they definitely didn't take what's remained here. Anyway, with me ranting on, let's get back to see what Tim Dillon, as an American, what his experience of being in the UK was like compared to what we're told that it's London has been taken over by Muslims. The mayor is handing over all the businesses to his mates, and we're like, we can't have no freedom of speech, and it's well overblown.
came out, and to me was working class in the United States, and I think the working.
Oh, one other thing I want to say. This is another parallel I find in politics. Everyone seems to want to claim the working class. What's that about? Somebody said to me the other day, when people say, "Oh, you got somebody who's obviously not living like a struggling or paycheck to paycheck working class person, average everyday bod you see on the street," they're, say they're living good. They're a politician with good wages, couple of houses, maybe children go to the best schools, and they still want to rep for the working man, working woman, because that seems to be where I know the majority of the voters are going to be coming from that demographic. But this person said to me, a mate, they said, it's like when people say, "Oh, I've got working class mates." Somebody is obviously not working class, middle class, upper middle class, whatever the case might be, or above that. And they say they never flip it round and say to the um, posh person, up class person, middle class person, whatever the case might be. They never say no. excuse me, let me wind that back and say it in another way. They never say to the working class person, how many posh people mates have you got? It's always like the other way around. Like when people try to break that um um racial thing when maybe they're being accused of being, you know, maybe a little prejudiced or something, and they say, oh, I've got a lot of brown friends or something, or religious, oh, I've got a lot of, it's that a lot of thing, but you never tend to have it reversed when it comes to the class system, which is the structure I think the UK is history was built on. You'll get somebody who's not working class repping for the working class man. Farage speaking for the everyday man. He probably is. Maybe he's. But I don't think he's living like the everyday man. But they always rep for the working class. And then, but you don't get the reverse where it's like a working class person. How many, you know, CEOs, multi-millionaires, mates have you got? It's always like, it's almost like people, they aim downwards. Like something I saw in the media way back when they was talking about, it was a one of them LBC presenters was having this discussion. He was saying that people have a tendency to dumb down their accents. So you'll get somebody who speaks good English, clear English, concise, probably educated, well, middle class, upper middle class, or whatever. And they, when they kind of, you know, find themselves in the general community, I'd say general population, maybe there's this tendency of people to dumb down, like, you know, don't not try not to speak correct English. Maybe it's a fitting in thing, but it's a very strange phenomenon. So we'll get back to this. I know I've gone on for a bit, and just see where Tim Dillon and Piers Morgan get to in their discussion about how us Brits are seen by yous lot over there across the Atlantic and the States, and we kind of know how we view yous as well. So goes both. Oh, before we get into that, just another quick hi to anybody who's out there in the chat.
And if you look at cities like London and New York, a lot of people buying property to live there. It's a boon for luxury real estate. It's a boon for finance. But really, people that,
Trying to get it so
you
you
know,
can see the screen, but it might not work.
of all races, of all religions, but have called this country home forever, feel like they're losing.
Well, you can hear the audio anyway.
Give a voice to that, which no one else had. He also gave a voice to this idea that going around the world and wasting money on pointless, unwinnable, largely Middle Eastern wars was bankrupting America, saddling our children with debt. These were his two main salient points. Have you voted for him at all? I didn't vote in the last. No, I didn't vote.
So I'm going to speed this up a bit because I'm going to get to the bit where they do some comparisons.
That have given Trump a lot of money. Who it never needs a tea break. Right. Never needs a lunch break. That's right.
Oh, they've moved on to AI. So listen, I can't find that section, and I've spent a good amount of time with yous. I'll just ask you if you can, when you get a chance, when you get a minute, stop by the CornerSpeak channel and hit the bell icon now if you can, or a bit later. Subscribe to the channel. Have a look through the archive, the back catalogue, some of the videos I've been doing over the last X amount of years, some of the 2024 live streams, 2025 live streams, and a few of them that I've done this year so far, and some of my reaction videos. Let me know what you think. Let me know if there's a direction of subject matter you would like to hear covered here on this channel. And again, British summertime, we've got a bit of it, experiencing a bit of it. Take it when we can get it. Over here in Southeast London today, Beckenham Place Park, and sun's gone down as you can see, but it's still nice out here. Breeze has gone too. You can hear that music in the background. I hope it's not too offensive to YouTube. I don't want to, you know, infringe anybody's anything. That's yeah, I'm not playing the music. It's out there because we're in a public space. So for now, nice tunes, nice tunes. For now, I'd just like to say, as usual, thank you for spending a bit of time with me, even though it was a bit of a here and there-ish type of live stream. We're recording the content and putting it on the record, so it's there to be viewed at your leisure. And thank you so much, Brian797. I think it's going to be, what am I having for dinner? I think it's going to be Caribbean food. Yeah, I'm gonna go to that. See if you can see it again. It's way, way in the distance. And I'll tell you what. Look, let me organize myself, pack things up here. Just give me one moment. Just gonna make some adjustments. Gonna pack a few things up here and get my stuff together. And once I've done that, we're gonna stroll back up the hill. Hopefully that music ain't gonna be so prominent that it upsets YouTube, like I said earlier. But I want to show you the Caribbean food booth truck, because that's probably gonna answer Brian's question. As he was wondering, what am I gonna be having for dinner? I think it's gonna be Caribbean cuisine, Brian. And to anybody else who's been with us today, on this live stream, thank you very much for your time and your participation. Let's put this away quickly. And I will say, when I get a chance to, bear with me, I haven't gone away yet. Right, that can go in there. Let's see, that going there like that. That goes in there like that. I thought in the right place. Yep, that's looking as it should. Right, this goes in here. Yeah, so this might be the boring part. This is just the everyday activities of an ordinary dude living in London, United Kingdom, not afraid to leave my house. I don't think I'm going to be robbed, mugged, have a sword fight with anybody. We don't have the same kind of gun issues as you have over there in the States, but we do have gun issues. You don't hear it so much in the press, but not like in the States, because we don't have the constitution that allows everybody to bear arms, but we have other issues, but not to the extent that Vance kind of has sort of, how can I say, given the impression. The freedom of speech thing, I don't think it's that much worse than usually over there, although it's in your constitution that you can say more legally. But yeah, we got our issues, but it's not to the extent that you might have been led to believe. So just give me a moment and we'll take a walk up there and I'll show you that food van that I was talking about, where I'm probably going to get my evening meal from to answer Brian's question. What are you having, Brian? What are you having for your evening meal? Answer that. Right. Oh, all right. It's my CornerSpeak gym bag. CornerSpeak gym bag. Jimmy gym bag. So if you like one of these, lovely looking, very basic, easily made in China CornerSpeak gym bags, I can get you one at a very reasonable price and ship it to you at a reasonable rate and at a reasonable speed. You see, this is the nice thing about the outdoors when the weather's good and the greenery that we have around us. For all the things people complain about, I mean, this is a part of London, happens to be southeast London, Beckham, but you know, to me, it's it doesn't portray, doesn't give the impression of what I heard Vance talking about and some other commentators when they talk about the UK, like we're all running and hiding behind stones and bushes or something. It's as regular and as how can you say, as you can move as freely as you can in probably most other European countries. So yeah, um, there you have it. So anyway, before we get too close to the music, I'm just gonna spin around here and see if you can see the food truck. So where is it? Yeah, it's right about there. So if you can see just down there, right over there, that truck that's over there, that's a Caribbean food truck, and they, I'm sure, see the smoke rising. They got their they're still drum jerk oven on the go, and I'm sure some very tasty fragrances and smells from that particular spot. So Jungle Body with Tasha, thank you, spending a bit of time with us. Shumi Chowdhury, thank you. You was the number one in the chat today. And anyone else who spent a moment with us here at CornerSpeak, myself, Owen, Uradie, as usual, I like to say, be good, be safe. Definitely, you're safe in most parts of the